Here we are with take two. We had an incredible session last night. Thank you so much to everyone who came on live and joined me. The engagement and the chat was amazing. However, tech did not play its part. And when I actually recorded it, but when I converted the recording, it was a corrupt file, and I have done everything in my power to try and find that recording, but it wasn't meant to be. So I am re-recording this today, and the bonus for you, it might be a little bit shorter if you're watching the replay. So let's just jump into it, and we will get on with the workshop. So you are here today to find out about mental fitness, what it is and why is it life-changing. And it's for you if you want to find more happiness and joy in your life. So I just want to start with telling you a little bit about myself, about my family, and how I came to be doing this work. So this is my family. So I have got an 18-year-old son. He just turned 18 on Monday. I've got a 16-year-old daughter in the middle and a 14-year-old daughter. And this is what it takes for us to get a family photo. This was my husband's 50th, where we were staying in a hotel in town, and we had to all squeeze into a little bathroom and take a selfie. Now, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Wick, and I grew up on a farm just out of Dannevirke in southern Hawke's Bay. My absolute passion has always been health and well-being, and how to support women to prioritize your health and well-being so that you are at your best. Now, I'm very, very passionate about nutritious food, and that is something that I will always prioritize. A couple of, over my journey of being in business and working with women one-on-one, it's always fascinated me and intrigued me when I can be working with women. And actually, this is showing up in my life as well, not necessarily with my health and well-being. I managed to, stay really focused with that, but with other areas of my life where you can stay on track for a certain period of time, or like if I was working one-on-one with women, and then once we stopped working together, the old behaviors would start showing up and they might revert back to their old ways. And that really, really fascinated me. So when I had the opportunity, and for me, it was the missing link to the work that I was doing. So when I had the opportunity last year to learn more about mental fitness and our saboteurs and where they show up, that's where it gave me the absolute missing link that I was looking for. Now, when I did that program, I thought that I was learning from how I was going to work with my clients and teach them this mental fitness. However, I didn't know that I was going to be there doing the work on myself first. Profound, life-changing, like absolutely incredible. But then I was thinking, how can I then teach that to my clients? So that's what I'm going to share with you at the end of this workshop. If this work really, the information that I share with you tonight resonates with you, then I will expand on it and how we can dive deeper into that work together. Okay, so this is for you if you are stuck in negative thought patterns and beliefs which hold you back. If you're wanting more joy and happiness. Now, I'm going to say now, because hopefully you've taken the saboteur assessment. Now, knowing your saboteurs, you'd like to dive deeper into where they show up in life and how you can weaken them. If you want to deepen your relationships, or if you want to become more productive. So if you're sitting in any of those places, you're nodding to those questions, then this is absolutely right for you. Okay, so mental fitness. This is something that I, didn't know a lot about, but now it is just all makes so much sense. So learning how to grow the 3 core mental muscles to thrive in challenging times. Here's a definition: your capacity to respond to life's challenges with a positive rather than a negative mindset. Our brain is actually wired to think negatively. So we need to work really hard to be looking at the positive. And what this mental fitness work does is it just helps that It helps you choose that pathway easier and quicker. So it impacts your performance, it impacts your peace of mind and wellness, and it impacts your healthy relationships. What I love about this work and this program is that the mental fitness is based on research done by a guy called Shazad Shamin and out of the States. So it includes research done from neuroscience, positive psychology, cognitive behavioral psychology, and performance science. So these are the foundations of the mental fitness work that I'm going to share with you. I love that it's, it's just so scientific, and it's not just something that has been created and hasn't been tried and tested. It actually works. Like thousands and thousands of people have been through this work. So looking at the power of factor analysis, it discovers the root cause and the results of radical simplification. So if you think about that, when you think about all the different thousands of colors there are available for us, that there are only 3 factors: red, blue, and yellow. And that's fascinating. Those 3 colors make up all the other thousands of colors that we can work with. It's the same with mental fitness. There's only 3 core muscles that are at the root of mental fitness. 1 being your saboteur interceptor, 2 being your sage, and 3 being your self-command muscle. Now, I didn't know, a lot about these, so now, so don't worry if they don't make sense to you. We're going to go over them tonight or today. It would have been last night. Okay, so there are 10 tops, well, not 10 top, there are 10 saboteurs, and they show up in all different ways, and we will go into them in more detail. And those are your negative. Your saboteurs are your negative, your sage powers are your positive, and there are 5 sage powers. So we're going to look at our saboteur interceptor first. Your inner saboteurs are your survive region. So they help you survive, not thrive. The sage is the thrive, which we'll get to. So saboteurs are the voices in your head that generate negative emotions when you handle life's challenges. They exist in the limbic system and parts of the left brain. Now, I know that there are people that are really scientific and they need to know the, what parts of the brain that is affecting. So that's why I keep that and make sure that that information is included. They produce most of your stress, your anxiety, your self-doubt, your anger, your shame, your guilt, frustration, and your mind chatter. And we all, believe me, everybody has got mind chatter. These negative emotions are only helpful for a second as they alert you to dangers or issues. However, if you stay in these emotions, it hurts your ability to see clearly and to choose the more impactful response. Now, looking at this, this image, we want, as you can see, the negative is your sabotage. And so we want to obviously be sitting more in the positive, which is your sage power, which we'll go into. But it's like making those choices, and I'll also go into the neuroscience of how those thought processes and how it rewires the brain. So your saboteurs versus your sage. Your inner sage is your thrive region. So remember, the saboteur was your survive. Your inner sage is your thrive region. So your sage lives in an entirely different region of your brain, the middle prefrontal cortex and the parts of the right brain. It generates positive emotions while handling life challenges. These include empathy, compassion, gratitude, curiosity, joy of creativity, and calm, clear-headed, laser-focused action. All great stuff that we want to be tapping into more. Activating this region results in a release of endorphins that counter the negative impacts of stress-induced cortisol. So we all know that, or maybe you don't, but cortisol is a stress hormone. And the more that we sit in negativity and a fast-paced stress, that's when we're more sitting in, we've got lots of cortisol. So we want to be balancing that out. Okay, so the 10 saboteurs, the judge. So I just want to share with you here, Everybody has saboteurs. I had someone who messaged me after taking the assessment and said, I've got 10 saboteurs. No wonder I'm a mess. Everybody has got them, and they show up in different ways for everyone. Now, I used to think that I used to put people on a pedestal if they were super successful, or running a high-powered job, or running a huge team, whatever it was. I would put them on a pedestal and think they've got everything going on. However, what I learned was that everybody has got a judge. So everybody judges themselves, and everybody's got these other saboteurs that show up. And it just made me reassured that I'm not alone. So we can't get rid of them, but we can weaken them. And I can show you how that has happened for me. So let's look at the judge first, which is your master saboteur. So it finds faults with self, so with yourself, with others, and with circumstances. So let's just look at that a little bit. So when you are finding fault with yourself, you're belittling yourself, you're talking to yourself negatively. You might be saying, I should be exercising more, or I should be getting up earlier in the morning. Why am I so tired? Why am I carrying this extra weight? I don't like the way I look. So how you talk to yourself. Judging others is having those thoughts and judgments about others. And then judging circumstances is, I will be happy when. Do you know that a lot of people go to their grave thinking, I'll be happy, in the place of I'll be happy when, because they actually never got to that place. But it's actually about living in the now and being right here. Now, to give you an example of that, and this has been my journey of mental fitness, and I used to, because for those of you who know me well, or know where I've grown up, I grew up on a farm in Hawke's Bay, and so my heart is always in the rural. And so I desperately would, I really want to get into a rural setting. However, just our circumstances now don't allow for that. So I will be happy when we move out of the city, right? But actually, it's what I need to realize is that I need to make the most of now, because I know that that will happen. But when that happens, it's not about me waiting for that to happen, for it to be impacting what's happening in my life now. Does that make sense? I hope that does. So that's your circumstance. It might be, I'll be happy when I got that job promotion. I'll be happy when I get that pay rise. I'll be happy when I get that really nice house, or whatever it is. It's different for everyone. It causes much of our disappointment, anger, regret, stress, guilt, shame, and anxiety. Now, the judge enrolls accomplished saboteurs. So let's look at those. There are 9. So the reason why the judge is on its own, because everybody has the judge. Now, these 9 accomplished saboteurs, which we're going to go through in detail, or just briefly, they show up differently for everyone. So that's why I got you to do the saboteur assessment, so that you can see what your top saboteurs are. I would love you to, if you're watching this recording, and obviously it came on an email, then just hit reply and let me know what your top accomplished saboteurs are. Okay, so let's go through them. We've got the hypervigilant. Continuous intense anxiety about all the dangers and what could go wrong. Vigilance that can never rest. So give you an example of this. As a friend of mine came and stayed with me at our beach house, and I was actually talking to her about this work. She took the assessment, and the hypervigilant came up as being her top saboteur. And she was like, that totally makes sense, because I've already sussed out and looked around at the high points that we can go if there is a tsunami or if there's a natural disaster. We've been going for years, and I have not once looked around, and that hasn't even crossed my mind. So it's just really interesting where they show up for different people. The hyperachiever, so this is one of mine, dependent on constant performance and achievement for self-respect and self-validation. latest achievement quickly discounted, needing more. So for me, I very rarely, even now that I know that this is what my saboteurs are, I'm now working on them and making sure that I am celebrating smaller wins. So often I would set myself a goal, I'd achieve that goal, and then I would move on and not celebrate. So that's an example of where a hyperachiever can show up. You've got the pleaser, indirectly tries to gain acceptance and affection by helping, pleasing, rescuing, or flattering others. Loses sight of own needs and becomes resentful as a result. So I was to give you an example of this, I was working with someone last year, and this was her top saboteur. And the reason why we were working together was because she just was burnt out and so exhausted because she was giving to everybody else, yet she was losing sight of her own needs. So therefore, we worked together and worked out what it was that filled her cup and how she could actually say no and still feel okay about it. It doesn't mean to not be a pleaser and giving to others, because that is a beautiful, beautiful strength. But it's just not taking it too far to lose sight of your own needs. What I wanted to say here is that these saboteurs are actually our strengths, but taken too far. So they are really, there are some really great benefits of them and how they do show up, but it's just when they've been taken to the extreme. Okay, so the avoider is focusing on the positive and pleasant in an extreme way, avoiding difficult and unpleasant tasks and conflicts. So often this can come up in conversations. It might be with your kids, it might be with your husband or your partner, a work colleague, your boss, and you'll avoid it. Or it might be that you might have a financial situation that you're trying to avoid, or looking even at your financials might be something that you try to avoid. So you are just brushing it under the carpet, but it actually festers and festers, and then it becomes really big. Okay, the controller, anxiety-based need to take charge and control situations and people's actions to one's own will. High anxiety and impatience when that is not possible. So often leaders are controllers because they feel like nobody can do the job well enough for them, so they might as well just do it themselves. So, and often teams find it really hard to live up to a controller's expectations. So the hyper-rational is intense and exclusive focus on the rational processing of everything, including relationships. Can be perceived as uncaring, unfeeling, or intellectually arrogant. So, actually underlying have got really beautiful qualities, but they just come across the wrong way as uncaring and arrogant. And so it's just, just misunderstood. Okay, the last three are the restless, constantly in search of greater excitement and the need in the next activity or constant busyness, really at peace or content with the current activity. So my daughter, this is actually one of my tops, well, I'll explain, but my daughter is a restless. So she's 14 and she is constantly in need of excitement, which is quite hard as a parent. But birthday, she wants to jump off the harbour bridge and jump off the sky tower, and she's always like, oh, what are we doing this weekend? Oh, what exciting things are we doing? And so it's quite hard to just to keep it the satisfaction. For me, the restless shows up more in my work life than it does in my personal life. So your saboteurs can absolutely show up in different areas. So I am a huge multitasker. Well, I'm getting better at it because I know that this is actually, I've retaken the test, and this has come up as my strongest saboteur because I've done the work on the other saboteurs. So I'm a big multitasker, which I used to think was highly productive, but it's so unproductive. And just by swapping, and it's because I get tiresome and bored, and so then I want to move on to a different task. Okay, so that's where the restless can show up. The stickler, perfectionism, and a need for order and organization taken too far, anxious, trying to make too many things perfect. And that's where it might be like a presentation like this. it's not perfect. I can't get it out. And stickler is another one that shows up for me. So I had to book in this workshop and work backwards, because I knew that if I waited, then I wouldn't have my slides perfect. I wouldn't have my presentation. I wouldn't be ready, but I'd actually never be ready. So one way that I overcome that is by booking the presentation, the workshop in, and then I work backwards. And so, yeah, a stickler is a common one that shows up. Just believe, or just understand, that no saboteur is worse than the other. You might think, I've got the worst saboteurs ever, but they all have impact in a similar way in your life. It's just that, they show up differently, but the impact is similar. So the final one is the victim. Emotional and temperamental as a way to gain attention and affection, and extreme focus on internal feelings, particularly painful ones. So this actually used to be my top saboteur. It's now lying a little bit lower down, because I have done the work, and I am obviously I've managed to weaken it. This used to show up more in my personal life, and especially I can see where it showed up as a kid. And this is why I wish I'd known this information when I was younger, because then it does in my work life. So they can, as I said, they can show up in different places. So these are my results. So as you can see, the restless is up the top there. The victim, stickler, and hyperachiever are all equal. Now your results might be sitting up around the 8.1, 8.2. Last night there were 8.8s. I think there was even a 9.1. Just so don't look at this and go, oh, mine is so high. This is completely normal, because I have done the work. And the work is ongoing. It's not something that you go to the gym and then work out for 6 weeks and then you're fit. This is something that is ongoing. And so that's why my saboteurs have reduced. But you can see down the bottom there, hypervigilant is like a 0.6. It's not even on my radar. Okay, so your saboteurs motivate you through negative emotions: fear, stress, anger, guilt, shame, and insecurity. Whereas your sage motivates you through positive emotions: empathy, curiosity, creativity, passion, and purpose. And so with that, looking at I'll come back to that, saboteurs. So your saboteurs might generate success, but not happiness. And your sage creates your highest success and sustained happiness. So one of your sage, we're not going too deeply into the different sage powers tonight, but one of the sage powers is to empathize. And so for those of you who know me, know that I have challenging times with parenting, and I've always been open and upfront. I just want to know that if other parents are having challenges with parenting, then they're not on their own. And with the parent, with one of the sage powers, it is to empathize the child. And so when I'm in a situation with my daughter, something that has really helped me is to get the empathy for her, is to empathize and visualize her as a child. And that is a really, really powerful technique. So that is where it generates your highest success and sustained happiness, rather than going to the negative and getting upset and angry and frustrated. Okay, so let's just look about the neuroscience of habit formation. So when you have an event or an external stimuli, so that's just a thought that comes into your brain, you have a choice. You can go for the saboteur response, which is the negative, or the positive, which is the sage. For survival mode and survival instinct, and something that is just something that we've done as a kid and has always worked, we go to the saboteur, because that's our default mechanism. And that's our judge. With mental fitness and PQ reps, which I'm going to explain to you in a moment, what you're hoping to get to the stage is pause and make a different choice. So you choose the sage response as opposed to the saboteur response. So the more often you make this choice, the more PQ reps that you do, PQ standing for positivity quotient. I had to Google that on YouTube and find out how to actually say the word quotient, but I think I've got it right. So the more that you do PQ reps, which I'm going to explain to you, the more it will become your default. So as the default, we're literally changing the new neuro pathways in the mental muscle. So I hope that makes sense. We're changing the way the brain reacts to external stimuli. And what that is doing is rewiring the brain. So I find this really fascinating. So just explaining the neuroscience behind it, because I know that some of you will be interested. So we can choose the sage and access the 5 different sage powers to create a different outcome. Okay, so are negative emotions good for you? So last night, I had people typing into the chat box if they thought the negative emotions were good or bad. And so I just want you to have a think, are negative emotions good for you? You might be going, but I need my controller. That is what actually gets me getting things done. Or the hyperachiever means that I can actually get more things during my day. Or the stickler. It's, you might say, but I need that stickler. But actually, I just want to ask you, are negative emotions good for you? So is pain good for you? When you put your hand on the hot stove, the pain is good, but only for 1 second or a moment. So negative emotion, only helpful for 1 second, is an alert signal. And that's what people said last night. So it was great. Staying in negative emotion hurts the ability to see clearly and respond with empathy, curiosity, creativity, or laser focused action. So if you think that when you think back to when you've had an argument with someone, it might be with your kids or your husband, you're stuck in those negative emotions and you just feel really, really upset. So that affects how you can see things clearly and think clearly. So negative emotion, any negative emotion is your saboteur. It could be your judge or one of your accomplished saboteurs. So now let's look at the sage. Lives in the region of the brain associated with positive emotions, peace and calm, clear-headed focus, creativity, big picture, and it operates from the sage perspective. So what is that? I mean, all of that is really, really good stuff that we want to be able to tap into more. Every outcome or circumstance can be turned into a gift or an opportunity. So before I was doing this work, I, again, talking about the parenting, because that is probably, one of my biggest challenges, but even though it is getting easier, but it doesn't mean it's going to go away. It's how I respond. And the gift, I used to think parenting is so hard. Why is it so hard? But yet, when I look at what that gift is, the gift is for me being able to become more of an empathetic and an understanding parent. And it's also the gift that I can actually share my experiences with other parents to let them know that they're not alone. So I see that as a gift. Now, so there might be situations where that, have come up and have been an incident in your life where you're like, I cannot see the gift, right? There might have been, you might have lost a loved one who, was so dear to you, and it was before their time, for them to leave. And that there are variances on where you can see the gift. But I just want to share an example of a lady called Katrina McLeod, who is from the Wairarapa, and years ago she had a horse riding accident and she was paralyzed from the neck down. Now, in that moment, 5 years probably down, I don't know her intimately, but I know her, and that she found it really hard to find the gift. And I don't know, now there might be, there still might be areas where she struggles to find the gift. However, what she's done is she set up a catwalk trust to raise money for research into spinal injuries. So that you can look at that as a gift that has come out of that such unfortunate situation. Okay, so there's extreme, and then there are everyday situations where you can look at what the gift is. And it's actually, once you think about it, you might lose a really important client and you're like, there is no gift in this. But what the gift might be, that you then have to really look at your marketing material and look at putting yourself out there and, showing up in a different way. So I hope that makes sense. Which perspective comes true? Your saboteur, this is bad, or your sage, this is a gift? Whichever you believe comes true. So you get to choose. So the sage or positive mode of your mind can help you realize your potential and find your happiness when you need it the most. And that is so, so powerful. So here's a few words from Julie. So starting this work after a tough battle with cancer, I never expected the profound impact it would have. It uncovered years of hidden pain, revealing why I reacted the way I did throughout my life. It taught me empathy for both myself and my depressed mother, allowing me to forgive and understand. And that was through doing the Visualize the Child activity, which is one of the sage powers. It revealed my judge and saboteurs, leading to a newfound lift in confidence and self-worth. Now I approach life with a positive attitude, appreciating its goodness. Can you imagine having that freedom that Julie has now got? It's incredible. So let's look at the self-command. This is the third piece of the puzzle. How much you're able to command the thoughts of your mind. So this is where the PQ reps come in. Now, a PQ rep is very simple. So we're going to go through some examples, and it is something that you can do anywhere. It involves shifting as much of your attention to your body with any of your 5 senses for at least 10 seconds. So they're mini units of mindfulness. But the reason why this is so different to meditation and mindfulness is that you can literally do them anywhere. You don't have to be sitting in a quiet space. You can be doing them in a meeting room, or you can be doing them when your kids are around, or when you're driving, when you're out walking. There is so much flexibility and scope to integrate this like 10 seconds into your daily life. So these reps activate and grow your self-command muscle, which helps you self-regulate your thoughts and feelings. So, as I said before, you go to the gym, you build muscles, you build strength and toning, but mental fitness is for the mind. Okay, so let's do some PQ reps together. So what I want you to do is just sit back and close your eyes. Now, if you are walking, because often I listen to a replay when I'm out exercising, what I want you to do is focus on your toes and the soles of your feet hitting the ground as you're walking. Okay, and all the different sensations on your feet as you're taking your different steps. But for those of you who are watching this and sitting, then I want you to close your eyes and take a deep breath. And really focus on the breath going in and out of your nose and reaching your stomach. And I want you to focus on your belly rising and falling, or your chest rising and falling. I also want you to focus on the breath going in through your nose so that you can notice the temperature of air going in and out of your nose. So we're not actually just breathing like some, diaphragmatical breathing. We've probably all heard of that, but we're also intensely thinking about the sensations of when it's going in and out of our body. So just take some deep breaths and just notice how calming that makes you feel. Now open your eyes. Another one that you can do is just rub 2 fingers together. This is a PQ rep. Just rub 2 fingers together and notice the sensations of the skin and the ridges on the end of your fingers as you're rubbing those fingers together. You're not looking out the window. You're not thinking about anything else. You are literally thinking about the sensation. So you are bringing intense focus to your fingers. Another one that I love doing is rubbing your hands together like this. And there are so many different sensations that you can feel when you rub your hands together. And the fingertips and the palms of your hands. So that is a PQ rep. You can feel that you are changing your focus to that body sense. Another one is when you're sitting in a meeting, you can be wiggling your toes. So if someone is putting you into a negative emotion, you can just wiggle your toes. And so you're putting that sensation into your feet. You could be, when I often do PQ reps when I'm out walking and I'm looking around and I'm focusing intensely on something that I am, looking at. So the power of the self-command muscle, the more you do it, the easier it becomes and the more impact it has. So the simplicity of the operating system, let me share that with you. If you're feeling negative emotions, stop. Just know and acknowledge that you're in saboteur mode. Do some PQ reps to quieten saboteurs and activate the sage. So what this is doing, it is activating your sage because it makes you feel so much calmer. Did you notice that just by doing this, or just by taking those deep breaths, that you just felt calmer? Assume the sage perspective that every problem can be converted into a gift and opportunity. So if you've got a situation, think about what is the gift that could be the outcome of this. It might not show up straight away. It might show up in a few days, a few hours, a couple of months, or even a couple of years, depending on the level of it. And then generate the gift by using the sage powers like empathy, curiosity, creativity, calm, and clear-headed action. So you might want to try and use the sage power of empathy and visualize who you are talking to as a child and see if you can, that helps you find that empathy. So this is from Lisa. Feeling overwhelmed in life and work, I struggled with triggers that hindered my progress. This program offered a clear and practical process, helping me uncover the root causes of these triggers, my saboteurs, and providing practical exercises that can be applied anywhere. Since starting this program, my productivity has greatly improved. So Lisa was very much a restless, and I'm no longer affected by those triggers, and also a stickler. I would highly recommend it to anyone wanting to reset themselves more positively. So is it really possible to just shift from saboteur to sage response even in tough challenges? It is, but the speed and depth of the shift depends on mental muscle strength. It's the same as going to the gym. You're not going to be lifting 20 kgs as a dumbbell, and if you're only just starting. As you do the work and do it consistently, that's when it strengthens your mental muscle. So 20% lasting positive change requires 20% insight and 80% mental muscle. So if you think about the last conference that you went to, or an event, or you might have jumped onto a Zoom meeting and you had a guest speaker and you thought, that is brilliant, I'm so going to implement that. But then a week to 2 weeks later, you've totally forgotten about it, life has taken over and you haven't made any changes. That's because you had the insight, but you didn't build the mental muscle. And that's what this work does. So if this has really intrigued you and you've been fascinated by the saboteurs and how you can how you can choose to go from the negative to the positive, then as I said at the start, I wanted to share with you how we can do some deeper work into this program. So it's called the Mental Fitness 6-week program, and it's about building healthy habits and changing negative thought patterns. So success requires intense initial practice. If we want to do something well and get it really, ingrained, then it does require some initial practice. For this mental fitness program, all it takes is 15 minutes a day for 6 weeks, which can be broken down into 2 to 3 minute chunks. That actually equates to only 1 to 1.5% of your waking time. So if you're telling me that you haven't got 1.5% of your day, then we probably need to look at your productivity, which is, it's something that the program addresses anyway. So what does it look like? It's all available on an app. So when I was talking at the beginning, when I went through this myself, and I thought this is a phenomenal program, but I was like, how on earth am I going to teach this to my clients? Because I didn't have the platform, I couldn't set up the platform. But what I didn't realize is that through me as a coach, you can access this program as well, and that's what made me so excited. So as I said, it comes on an app. You get daily focuses. So over the 6 weeks, you're looking, each week is a different focus. You look at the judge, you look at your saboteurs. The app is set up so that you can actually work on your own personal saboteur, your top saboteur, which is phenomenal. So you have daily focuses. They pop up throughout the day, and they take 2 minutes. So you can just do them at different times that suit you, or you can be doing PQ reps when you're in meetings and just, not necessarily on the app. They have got this is where I love that you can track your progress, which is fantastic. So as you can see, the minimum is the yellow, the recommended is the green, and this is mine where I'm sitting above the recommended. Okay, so this was in my first 12 weeks of doing the program, but I have continued the work throughout. As you go to the gym and you've got different physical gym, you've got different gym sessions, then they also has a PQ gym where you can, if you just want to do different PQ reps at different parts of the day, and your coach challenges, they're actually locked, they come out at different times during the day, you can just tap into these. So you can do them, it's tactile, you can do a tensor release, you can do a moving. So often I might go out and take my dog for a walk, and I'm doing, as I said before, doing PQ reps. Then you can do them sitting while you're driving, or there's different life applications that you can apply them to, which is really it makes it so much easier to implement. As in with meditation, you've literally just got to do them when you've got that quiet space. These are the different applications where it applies to. You've got personal strength, wellness, diet, parenting, relationships and career planning, and professional conflict management, creativity, productivity, leadership, time management and coaching, and then functions. If you are in sales, you can apply it to all these different areas. The operating system is, as we've talked about, using the SAGE powers, which you empathize, explore, innovate, navigate, and activate. You've got your judge and your accomplice saboteurs, and then you've got you're building your self-command muscle, which is what you're doing with your PQ reps. Your hardware is your brain. So what makes this program different? It focuses on habit formation. So it focuses on building neural pathways that form lasting new habits. That's why it's mental fitness. It gets to, you talk about the 3 different core muscles, your saboteur, interceptor, the sage, and the self-command, whereas meditation only focuses on self-command, which is why it's not sustained by most. This is what I love. It gets to the root cause. So this is where, doing this work with my clients is actually getting to the root cause. And once we have worked that out, then we can apply it to the different areas of health and well-being. So it rewires the brain at that root cause level. So, and it's research-based. There have been thousands of people around the world who have been through it, and they know that it is effective and that it works. Okay, so what does it look like? 6 weeks duration with a 7th week wrap up. There's an hourly video each week that comes out on a Saturday. So that is the founder, Shazad, the coaching module, whether that's looking at your judge or looking at your saboteurs or looking at the different sage powers. So it goes into everything in those weekly videos. They are broken down into into smaller chunks. It requires 15 minutes per day of practice on an app. He has got a best-selling book called Positive Intelligence, so you get that as an audio book or as a PDF book, and that just really backs out the information and the modules that are released each week. And it includes a weekly group coaching and facilitation and support session with me. So that just helps us dive deeper into, it's in a very small group setting. There's only 6 people on each program, and so that allows us to have that intimate and where you can be vulnerable and where you get the support that you need. And so we have an initial 30-minute one-on-one session to determine your goals so that you get the most out of the program, and I know what it is that you're wanting to achieve. So this program has truly changed my life. By showing up and being open and honest with myself, I've gained a deep understanding of who I am. I now possess the tools to find calmness, joy in everyday moments, and let go of trivial worries. It's given me profound insights into human behavior and triggers, all in a safe, confidential, non-threatening, and loving environment created by WIC. This lifelong teaching will stay with me forever, and I wholeheartedly urge others to take the plunge too. And then finally from Jennifer, during a tough period in my time, this program with WIC made all the difference. Instead of succumbing to self-pity, I learned to accept and carry on. While still experiencing emotions, I now cope better. It's an incredible program with an amazing coach, WIC, a total game changer. So, your investment, Positive Intelligence, where you took the saboteur assessment, that is the Positive Intelligence website. They sell, you could go to that website and you can buy this program for $1,000 US, and you can go through it yourself. So alone, that's over $1,600. What I'm offering it to you is for only 547 New Zealand dollars for the full 6 weeks. Now, the reason why I have kept the price at that is because the more work that I do with more people, I see the profound impact that it is having, and it is completely life-changing, that I want to make it achievable for those who want to go through it. So it's only $547 for the full 6 weeks, or 2 3-weekly payments of $285. And so, as I say, that includes that additional coaching. So that program through the Positive Intelligence, that doesn't include any coaching, whereas you've got the support and the community of going through it with other like-minded women, which is really, really powerful. Okay, so the logistics. The program starts on Saturday, the 3rd of June. Now, it starts on a Saturday because that is when the module is released. We don't actually do anything because I realize that is Queen's birthday weekend. I'm going to be away. What we do is we have our coaching session at some stage throughout the week when it works for everyone. So it's just when the first module is released. The deadline to register is Sunday, the 28th of May at 9:30. There's a maximum of only 6 participants. 3 of those spots have gone. So if you are interested, then I will tell you how you can find out more. Oh, my dot's in the wrong place. I've got a money back guarantee. I know how powerful this program is. However, I also know that you probably want to know that you're going to get the most out of it. So if you go through the course, the program, and you don't get you don't find value in it, and you don't get the results that you're expecting, then I will refund your money, your full investment. To save your spot, head to wickedwellbeing.com mental fitness. So there's an application form there, and just fill that in, and then that'll be sent off to me. If you've got any questions, or if you're wondering if this is right for you, let's chat. So just book a 30-minute discovery call in my calendar. I will put that link into the email where this recording is. So I just want to finish off with this final thoughts for you. Imagine yourself able to remain calm, clear-headed, stress-free, and positive, even in the midst of handling challenging situations in life and work. What becomes possible for you in achievement and peace of mind, wellness, and in your relationships? Thank you so much for being here. And I would absolutely love you to join this program if you want to do a deeper dive into how things are showing up for you. And just click the link in the email, and we can talk more about it.